The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is very excited to take part this year for the first time in the U.S. Water Alliance's Value of Water campaign, and specifically the Imagine a Day Without Water. October 23rd every year, the Imagine a Day Without Water activity is released as part of the Value of Water campaign, and this year we are going to have our staff participate in exercises. We're making this video. We're going to be asking trivia questions about what do you know about water access, coverage, opportunities, specifically for your own families, but also for the African American community in general. So I'm very excited to be here. I'm Dr. Afia Zakiya, the Water Fellow here, and I've been here for about 7 or 8 months. My fellowship is being sponsored by the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, the U.S. Water Alliance, who is sponsoring the Value of Water campaign, and also the Water Agency Leadership Alliance. So combined, we are working together to look at issues around water equity, access, and opportunity in the African American community. What do we know about the water infrastructure, for example, that is providing water to our homes and across the nation? We know that the water infrastructure in this country, most of it was built around in the 1800s. So it's old, it's outdated, it needs to be replaced. But federal funding for water infrastructure has decreased over 63% since the 1980s. So we have issues of lack of funds and resources for water utilities and other institutions, cities, municipalities, to replace the aging infrastructure. But something must be done, because we know cities like Flint, Detroit, other places are having, and really across the nation, we're having issues with lead contamination in our water, high levels of lead, which is just one of the issues that is one of the contaminants that you will find in the aging infrastructure that is piping water to our homes. So water access is another issue that we're looking at, and through this campaign, we're having discussions here at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. What is happening in terms of access to water? How many people have water in the nation? How many people don't have water? Globally, in fact, there are over 2.4 billion people who don't have access to clean, safe water and sanitation services. In the United States, 1.6 million, and people don't even realize that or think about it. So Imagine a Day Without Water here is something that we're very interested in becoming an annual participant in this activity, to have not only our staff here think about how their lives would be impacted if they didn't have access to water, but also we're thinking about the broader African American community and what can we do to ensure that at all times everybody, everywhere, has access to clean, safe water and sanitation services. We recently have been involved in several exciting activities. In July, for example, we partnered with DC Water and Education organization, Afia, and some other groups to host a Water Week program where we work with students from Cardozo High School here in Washington, D.C. to expose them to various water careers and just what is water infrastructure. So we worked with them for a week. We visited Howard University, environmental sciences and engineering faculty and students, so the students can hear, what it's like for those students who are just entering and going through courses, exposing them to issues around water infrastructure in the United States. But we also visited DC Water, the Blue Plains Water Facility, sanitation facility, and we also went to Covanta Energy. So we went to a variety of places exposing the young people to issues around water and water infrastructure here locally in DC. In September, the annual legislative conference was held here in Washington, D.C. It's the annual fundraiser here at the CBCF, and we held a very exciting water panel. It was entitled Water Equity, Access, and Opportunities, and we had people from the water utilities, from University of District of Columbia, and some other organizations that participated on a panel discussion with us around what are some of the career opportunities that exist for young people in the water sector. But we also talked about serious issues around access. So as I mentioned, there are over 1.6 million people who don't have access to water and plumbing, adequate plumbing in the U.S. But then there's also the access issue is being compromised by increasing water utility rates. And so we have in some cities across the U.S. since 2012, for example, as a baseline, cities like Jackson, Mississippi, Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, all these cities have had over 100% increase in water and sanitation utility prices, and this has led to, an affordability issue. To their credit, some of the water utilities have instituted customer assistance programs to help with, people who are having challenges paying their water bills. But then there are also others who, with the challenges that they're having, are being faced with the challenge of not being able to pay their bills and having those charges being added to their property taxes. So housing liens are beginning to increase because in some cases where people are not able to pay their water and sanitation utility bills. So these are things that we're very concerned about here at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and that we're going to be looking at and working on. My last area that I want to talk about here as we celebrate Imagine a Day Without Water today, October 23rd, is the issue of opportunity. While there are many challenges in the sector, in both in terms of environmental justice issues and the access and affordability issues, there are also increasing opportunities for African American and people of color to be involved in the water sector. For example, the water sector right now is approximately 76% or more white and male. So women and people of color, African Americans, are in the water space maybe about at 25%, but most of the positions that they occupy are in the traditional trades, especially the Hispanic community and construction. So we're looking at that issue. We're working with my sponsors, who I think I've mentioned, if not the U.S. Water Alliance, San Francisco Public Utilities, and the Water Agency Leadership Alliance. They're all working with us to look at workforce development issues. How can we, first of all, expose the African American community and young people to environmental issues and thinking about careers in the water and water utility space in particular. So we are, doing activities to raise awareness in the community in our community about the opportunities, and at the same time, we are going to, I think, be pushing the envelope a little bit about not only entry into the water sector, but also mobility, because obviously if you're not in that space in large numbers, you're being in leadership positions and positions of decision making around water governance. You will not find African American people and other people of color in large numbers in that space. So think about what it means to not have water. Imagine a day without water. Who can do that? What can you do without water? We're doing some exercises today. You'll see throughout this short clip how some of our staff are reflecting on what it means to go a day without water, to imagine a day without water. And we're sharing some tidbits and statistics and data to see, test their knowledge about what it means to go without water for a day. Water is life. We are passionate about doing something to ensure that everybody, everywhere, has access to clean, safe water and sanitation, not only